Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video on C++ tutorials. Today we are going to learn about controller statements. These type of statements are used in C++, rather every programming language to change the path of the compiler. So when the compiler starts running your program line by line from the top, these controller statements are used to determine the path of a compiler and change the path in which the program runs. They are usually used to the basic function which we are going to learn is finding out the greater number. So one of the controller statements which we are covering in this video is the if statement, and let's see how it looks in the C++. And I have a code ready here, the if else statement. So let's review it line by line. I have already declared two variables, integers, both of them a and b, and I am going to ask the user that to enter a number. And so to enter a number, there is a different keyword which is cin, or you can call it sin, and the signs for the after the sin are opposite to that of cout, and then you just put the variable name after sin, and it will let you input a certain value to that particular variable, which is a in this case. And then I'm going to ask the user to input yet another number, and which will be stored in the variable b. So when you want to let the user input, you can use the sin in a different line, or you can just use the same line if you want to save the lines. It doesn't make any difference. It's just if you do it this way, it's easier to read, and this particular way it's well, space consuming. Less space consuming actually. So then I have the if statement right here, and in the brackets I have a condition that if a is greater than b. So that particular thing is a Boolean expression, as we call it in the programming language. A Boolean expression always returns a true or false value. You can think of it as a binary 0 or 1. It just has two values. It can never return anything other than either true or false. So whenever there's a if statement, the code below it only runs if the Boolean expression results in true. So when I input a number and let's say a is greater than b, then it will run the following code that the number a is greater. And when you use else, you do not need a Boolean expression, because that's the only way left which is possible. So you have two numbers. You don't need if a is greater than b, else b greater than a. It is self-implied that if the first one is not true, then it has to be b, which is greater, and then the else statement will run. So let us see how it runs in the compiler. So I will enter a number, let's say 9, and I'll enter another number 5, and so I got the output that 9 is greater. Let's see another case. I'll enter 2 as a and 6 as b, and I see 6 is greater. The problem arises when I enter the same digits, let's say 5 for each. It says 5 is greater, but we all know it's not true. Both are equal. So for that, there is another statement which is called the else if, which you can add to the if statement to make your program a bit more correct and user friendly. So in here we have the same condition for if, but else if now has yet another Boolean expression. So else if is never empty. It always has a Boolean expression right after it, otherwise you will get an error. So here I have A is equal to B. So I have two equal tos. So let's one equal is when you are initializing a variable. Let's say I initialize 10. But when I want to compare two variables and see whether they're equal or not, I need to use double equal to signs in order to make sure that my program runs correctly. And then I still have the else with no Boolean expression. And now let us run the program and see how it works. Oh, there's the statement missing. Okay, I forgot semicolon. Save it and run. I'll enter 9, 4 4s, and 3. Runs correctly. Let's try the other way. That sounds right, but let's enter the same numbers. And now it says 5 and 5 are the same. So that way you can make use of if statements to determine which is the greater number, but that's not the best practical use in the real life, but it is just beginning, and we will see later in the later videos the more complex uses of the if statement. So thank you very much for joining me today, and that is all for this video. And if you guys have any questions, please leave it in the comments below, or you can even send me a tweet. I'll leave the link in the description. And thanks again.